Ukraine has released footage which it says shows the first few hours of its incursion into Kursk.
Sweden reports a case of a more severe strain of mpox, the first such variant detected outside of Africa. A US-Russian dual national is sentenced to 12 years in prison for treason after raising money for the Ukrainian military.
In Germany, solar panel balconies have boomed as a means of reducing energy costs and staying climate conscious.
One resident was killed after around 100 Israeli settlers stormed the Palestinian village of Jit.
Ukraine has released footage from the first few hours of its incursion into Kursk, which it claims shows Russians surrendering to Ukrainian artillery soldiers and tanks. The 80th Air Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine says more than 50 Russians were captured after Ukrainian forces destroyed the border crossing in the Kursk city of Sudzha. Ukraine's government also posted footage which it says shows its Ukrainian aviation and artillery breaching Russia's defensive lines. Evacuations of Russian citizens are ongoing in the border territories, while a federal state of emergency has been issued in the Belgorod region following more Ukrainian airstrikes.
Главная цель введения ЧС – это введение дополнительных мер поддержки по обеспечению безопасности и дополнительные меры поддержки по тем, кто пострадал. Поэтому надеемся, что план наш будет реализован.
Russia has accused Ukraine's Western allies of being directly involved in Ukraine's plans to attack Kursk, something the White House has denied. It is also reported that 2 British Challenger 2 tanks were used in the surprise incursion, although the UK's Ministry of Defence has refused to comment on what it calls operational matters. It comes as reports claim Ukraine struck a ferry crossing in occupied Crimea overnight, as well as a boat in Russia's Krasnodar region.
Sweden has reported a case of a more severe strain of mpox, the first clade 1 variant to be detected outside of an ongoing outbreak in African countries. Public health officials said it was diagnosed in a person who sought treatment in Stockholm after being infected in an area of Africa where the strain of the virus is spreading.
Det är förstås någonting vi tar på allvar. Samtidigt är det här ett arbete som hälso- och sjukvården och de regionala smittskyddsenheterna kan och har upparbetade rutiner och system för att hantera. Folkhälsomyndigheten samordnar arbetet på nationell nivå och har nära dialog med de regionala smittskyddsenheterna.
The announcement from Sweden comes a day after the World Health Organization said the outbreak of mpox in Africa constituted a global health emergency. It's the second time mpox has been designated a public health emergency of international concern in 2 years.
WHO is on the ground working with the affected countries and others at risk through our country and regional offices, as well as with partners including the Africa CDC, NGOs, civil society and more.
The Swedish Public Health Agency said that the patient being treated in the country for the virus doesn't pose a risk to the general population. But the WHO is warning that the new mpox variant is a threat to the rest of the world.
This one is spreading very rapidly, and it's spread to countries in Africa that have never seen it before, such as Rwanda, Kenya, Burundi. We're seeing a lot of cases in Burundi and also in Uganda. And these are countries that have got a lot of contact with the rest of the world, but so that's a threat to the rest of the world.
There are 2 subtypes of the mpox virus. Clade 1, which is endemic in Central Africa, is thought to cause more severe illness and higher mortality. The 2022 global outbreak was caused by Clade 2, which is endemic in West Africa. Around 300 cases of mpox had previously been detected in Sweden linked to the 2022 global outbreak of the virus. US-Russian dual national Ksenia Karelina has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for treason after raising money for the Ukrainian military. The former ballet dancer was convicted on charges linked to a €46 donation to a US charity. Her lawyer said she pleaded guilty to making the donation, but said she wasn't aware the money would be used for anti-Russian actions. Russia passed laws that criminalize criticism of its military operation in Ukraine since its invasion in February 2022.
The European Union foreign policy chief condemns the latest attack by Israeli settlers against a Palestinian village in the occupied West Bank. 100 settlers stormed the village of Jit, opening fire and throwing stones at residents. A 23-year-old Palestinian was killed and at least one other person was critically injured. In a post on social media platform X, Josep Borrell writes, "Day after day, in an almost total impunity, Israeli settlers fuel violence in the occupied West Bank, contributing to endanger any chance of peace." He adds that he plans to propose EU sanctions against the violent settlers, including government members. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli military both issued statements condemning the attack.
Swifties turned up early at Wembley in spite of stern warnings from the Metropolitan Police to stay away unless they have tickets. It follows recent terror threats in Vienna, prompting strict security measures at the stadium.
Security has become globalized too, so certainly events in Vienna will immediately create a heightened risk for a similar concert in London.
Yair Darren runs an international security company and says despite the heightened threat, people should continue to live their lives without fear.
Intelligence services nowadays are very, very tightly collaborating. In the broader world context, geopolitical context, Britain is amongst the safest of places. So if you ask me personally, I would have sent my kids with a good direction to be very cautious and keep their eyes open, yeah.
The atmosphere here at Wembley is already building, even as the Metropolitan Police has advised fans without tickets to avoid gathering outside due to heightened security concerns. Despite these warnings, many fans have arrived to be close to the action. The question is, are they aware of the heightened security and are they concerned?
We were aware of it, but I don't think it concerns us that much because we think they got the hang of it. Yeah.
I think this will be the safest show probably after what happened in Vienna, so should all be good.
And I kind of think like, yeah, when it first happened, you know, you think, oh my gosh, but one, it's going to be super safe, hopefully, and also you can't let these things like stop you from living your life. Like we've spent a lot of money, a lot of time, effort, and if Taylor's going to be here, so are we. So yeah.
We couldn't sleep.
So excited, most important.
Yeah, like bigger than our wedding day. Literally woke up crying.
Fans here at Wembley are fearless and ready for a memorable night, confident in their safety and the security services. Luke Hanrahan, Euronews, London.
The sun on Katarina Muller's balcony isn't just helping grow her plants, it's providing homemade electricity with the help of solar panels.
Just utilizing the sun, like the energy, and of course ultimately for me saving some money, but it's just the entire idea of I just have to put something up, use what's already there, and then I just benefit as well. It's just like, yeah, how can you say no to that?
She's not alone. Germany is seeing a boom in balcony solar panels. There was an over 50% increase in the registration of such systems in the second quarter of this year compared to the strongest quarter last year. The boom came as people sought out cheaper energy sources amid the war in Ukraine, which pushed electricity costs up. The co-founder of a startup selling balcony solar panels says she wanted people in apartments to be able to use the renewable energy source.
And we have so many spaces where we can use solar panels. I just felt like it was really unfair that we cannot use solar panels, especially for people that are renters in the apartments. All this technology is available. Why aren't we using it?
This year, the company is on track for a 350% increase in sales from 2023. They have also done well in France, the Netherlands, Spain, and Portugal, but have sold the most in Germany. The country is seen as a leader of solar energy in the EU. But a Solar Energy Association says the Netherlands produced the most solar capacity per capita in 2022 in the bloc, with Germany in second place. Advocates say they had to work hard to convince politicians to change rules in favor of solar energy use in households. A petition was launched last year, calling on the Bundestag to create legislation that would make it easier for people to install solar panels on their balconies. A group promoting solar use in households says it shows politicians that the public wants climate action.
Once other stakeholders also see that there is a willingness to cooperate, to implement things, then also the politics has a lot more urge or need to do something themselves, and you can't kind of talk yourself out of it and say, yo, the people don't want to and everything, because I don't think that's the case.
As for Katharina Müller, she and her roommate are expecting to save hundreds on their electricity bill this year.
And I truly enjoy being on the terrace or the balcony and then just checking, oh, this is how much we've produced today. Honestly, I find great joy in this even. Makes me get proud and very grateful for the sun as well.
A law is set to come into effect that will stop landlords from blocking tenants from putting solar panels on balconies, with some exceptions.